What up, everybody, and welcome to Baz on Blades. My name is Baz, and I talk about blades. Today's feature blade is the Benchmade Crooked River folder. Look at this, guys. As far as modern clip point style folders go, you're just not going to get much more attractive than the Benchmade Crooked River. And you don't know how much that hurts me to say because, as many of my viewers know, I am not a huge Benchmade fan. But this is just a good looking modern rendition of a classic clip point folder. All right, the Benchmade Crooked River is part of their Hunt series. And I do not, this is a loaner. This is another of one of those knives that were sent to me by Brian. I do not have the packaging for this, but it'll be in the standard Hunt series box and then in the Benchmade microfiber pouch. And I do love these pouches. Even if you don't keep your knife in it, which I don't keep knives in these type of things, they are great for other things, jewelry or, smaller sunglasses or anything like that that you'd want a microfiber pouch for. Let's see here if I've got anything. Don't really have anything here. Let's pull out this pocket dingus right here and we'll just sort of prop that up there. And let's talk about the Crooked River a little bit. Now, my sort of anti-Benchmade bias aside, this is a fabulous looking and well-made modern clip point folder. And I think who we have to thank for this as far as the knives go is the classic Buck 110 folder. And this is just a modernized version of that type of folding knife. Not only modernized in materials and build type, but also some very distinctive modern design cues. Now, this is a big knife. You're approaching a 4-inch blade length here in this knife. And recently, through user request and fan request and market request, Benchmade has brought out a mini version of this knife, which is aesthetically the same styling, same materials, but rather in a nearly 4-inch blade length. It's in more of a 3.4-inch blade length, and that's going to put it about the same blade size as, say, a Spyderco paramilitary 2. So a little more everyday carry oriented. And hopefully I can get one of those through here, because I think that even though I typically like bigger knives, I think that I would actually prefer that size over this one. Now, let's take a look here, and we'll go over and knock the specs out really quick on this knife. This is a large folder by any accounts. You're looking at a nearly 4-inch blade length, around 3 7/8 of an inch or 10 centimeters. Your blade stock thickness is 122 thousandths of an inch or 3.1 millimeters. Blade width, you're looking at 1.1 inches or 28.1 millimeters. Your handle length, about 5 3/8 of an inch or 13.5 centimeters. Handle thickness, 6/10 or 600 thousandths of an inch or 15.2 millimeters. Your handle width at the widest point here at the pivot is 1.27 inches or 32.4 millimeters. The closed width is 1.33 inches or 34 millimeters. An overall length of 9 1/4 inches or 23.5 centimeters. It has a very substantial stop pin. If you'll take a look at this stop pin right here, That's 185 thousandths of an inch, or 4.7 millimeters. Behind the edge thickness, I checked it in a few different places and averaged out about 25 thousandths of an inch, or 0.63 millimeters. Your handle to blade ratio, a respectable 0.72, and your weight, 5.26 ounces, or 148 grams. And that may sound heavy. And while the knife feels fairly substantial in the hand, when you pick it up in balance with its size, it does not come off as heavy. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at materials. In the blade, as you can see here, marked on the blade, it is in S30V. S30V is a premium stainless steel developed by Crucible, and this steel was developed in 1981, so it's almost old school. It is a high carbon. It has 1.45% carbon, high chromium, 14%, and vanadium alloyed modern stainless steel. It does have 4% vanadium in it. And again, vanadium is what you consider a carbide adder. Vanadium combines with free roaming carbon, the carbon that's left in the matrix of the steel after hardening, and it combines to form carbides. And carbides are very small, ultra hard particles that are suspended in the matrix of the steel. So steels that are alloyed with vanadium tend to be toothy cutters because of those super hard carbides that are suspended in the matrix of the steel. They would be suspended along the edge also. S30V is a pretty decent entry-level premium steel. It has good edge retention or wear resistance. It has decent toughness. And when I say decent, it is fairly tough, but S30V can exhibit some chipping issues on thinly ground blades. And that is one of the reasons that S35VN was developed, and that was to offset some of that lack of toughness. And then you get good corrosion resistance with S30V with 14% chromium content. As far as hardness, you'll typically see it hardened around 59-60 Rockwell. S30V, while it is not the most modern and highest end of the premium steels, it is a good steel. I look forward to the day that Benchmade changes over from S30V and goes to S35VN, because it does add some toughness to that steel. Now, as far as handle materials, now this is a long list of materials, guys. This is what we got. We've got hard anodized aluminum bolsters. You've got diamond wood handle scales, and diamond wood is extremely thin veneers of wood, typically birch. And they are pressed and impregnated with epoxy resin, much like stabilizing figured woods. And it's very tough. It's not, it's not proof to damage. It will take damage, but as far as wood goes, it's very tough because it is basically a stabilized wood. All right, then you've got a G10 backspacer. You've got stainless small parts, your pivot, your axis lock mechanism, your screws. Around this pivot, you do have an anodized aluminum trim ring, as you can see, both sides here. You do have a stainless deep carry pocket clip, Benchmade pocket clip. This is built over substantial full stainless liners that are weight relieved. You can see down in there, and both the show side and back side are weight relieved. So you do have a bit of materials in that handle. Aluminum, steel, wood, G10. Quite a few materials there. Now, fit and finish wise, there has been a lot of talk on the internet, and there always is, because the internet might as well be named the gossip net. But there is a lot of talk about Benchmade fit and finish, or lack of fit and finish, in the last few years, and I can be considered to be guilty of being part of that, as I have handled a lot of Benchmade knives in the last 10 years and found them many times to be lacking. But I'm happy to say, in this instance, the fit and finish is very good. The blade grinds are even and well done. The blade finish is very well done. It's in a stone wash over CNC ground finish. All your etching for your blade markings are very well done. You've got two good thumb studs that are, really, if you take a look at that, they're not oversized thumb studs at all. They're sort of diminutive for this size of knife and blade. But the fit and finish is very good grinds. This knife has been resharpened. It is a loaner knife. It is part of the batch that our sub and viewer Brian sent. Thank you very much, Brian. So it has been resharpened, but when he resharpened it, it turned out pretty doggone even. There is a slight difference, I would say, in the primary grinds from side to side. It's not really anything that you're going to pick up readily, but you can see that towards the belly, you do have a slight difference in that secondary bevel, your edge bevel. So I would assume, I didn't sharpen this, but I would assume that that is in a slight variation in the primary grind. And honestly, that's fairly common with all brands of knives. It's not always perfect. You do have a very good sharpening choil here, so no issues there. Thank you, Benchmade, for that. You go into the handle. These aluminum bolsters, very well done. You can see the downside of hard coat anodized aluminum. That anodization is fairly soft and it will start wearing fairly quickly. I like the orange anodized trim ring. In fact, I like the orange that's on this. I would have never thought that I would have been a fan of orange, but I'm becoming more and more a fan of orange as sort of just a pop of color on knives, because let's face it, knives can be sort of drab, as we see more black than anything on knives. So this hard coat anodized is in almost like a titanium type of coloring. And then you've got the diamond wood. I do like the addition of the wood on this. There is a second version that has gray G10. And while I do like the added benefits of toughness with the G10, it being gray and then being up against a sort of a gray bolster does not really give you much of a dynamic look. So I actually prefer the look of the wood, but I prefer the toughness of the G10, and this is why. Looky right here, guys. That is what happens when you have a very thin section of a wood. Even if it is a diamond wood that is basically stabilized, you can have breakage, and you probably will not see that on the G10 handle version. So while I do prefer the look of the wood, I would prefer the toughness of the G10. But going on to fit and finish, the fit and finish between the bolsters and the scales is good. The fit and finish between the liner and the bolsters and scales is very good. I'm sorry about that focus, guys. I'm just moving around too much. I'm too excited. You can see the fit on the back side between all the components is very good. Around the edge, there's no nail catches or anything like that. Guys, the fit and finish on this knife really is pretty doggone good. I'm very, very happy to say that about this Benchmade knife. It is just an attractive and well-made knife. I just can't get past that. Yeah, you know, this finish on the pocket clip is this classic black finish that Benchmade does. It scuffs if you look at it the wrong way. And then you've got the same sort of finish on the actual pivot screw, and then black finish on your very small screws. I will say this, there is something about Benchmade that I really like, and they have done this for years and years. The fasteners that they use a lot of the times are a base that is a threaded base and shaft, a receiver, say, and then a screw. And it clamps this together. You don't have to worry about this side turning or having to get on it from two different directions with two different drivers to hold it, keep it from turning. I really, really like this type of hardware, and they have used it for years. Going back to, I have my Benchmade Striker, which is a classic model from them that I bought in 99, early 2000, has that same type of hardware to join the sides together, and I love that type of hardware. So fit and finish wise, no issues here. For those of you that do like the wood, take into account this right here, okay? I know this wood, it does give you the pop between the wood and the bolsters, but you can run into that issue over the G10 scale. All right, guys, so let's go to action here, and this is where I personally usually have an issue with Benchmade and their axis lock. I'm going to say, first of all, this knife actually pretty doggone good. The action is good. It does have a very sensitive pivot in the balance between the clamping force of the pivot to cut down on side-to-side blade play and balancing that against the ease and smoothness of the action. Now, it's on phosphor bronze washers. But it's very hard to balance this smoothness of opening it one hand and closing it. Ah, good gracious. Sorry guys, I'm in a very limited room here, and this is a big knife to be swinging around. But this knife, you can open and close it one-handed, but to get that, you've got to accept the barest, and I mean the barest, amount of side-to-side play, and it is very, very slight. It is actually a good balance on this example. As far as radial play in the axis lock, something that can be an issue. There is no radial play in this. It's a very solid lockup. So as far as the action goes, I am pretty happy to see this one is very smooth. It doesn't have any excess play in any direction and has damn near perfect centering. This is a very good example of what a Benchmade axis lock should be. All right, kudos to Benchmade for that. So I've got no issues in the action here. I really, really like it. Now, let's go on to ergos and utility because we're already running long on this video. What can I say about this clip point blade profile? It is so attractive that I don't even care if I like Benchmade personally or you like Benchmade personally or what. That is just a beautiful, beautiful modern rendition of a classic clip point blade profile. You get great point here for piercing, and it readily does. You've got a great section of belly right here to work with. You've got a great section of straight edge here to work with. Look at this beautiful swedge on that clip. It is just so well done, guys. There's just, the clip point is a classic blade profile for a reason. It is a very, very usable and utilitarian blade profile, and this is just a beautiful, well balanced in both aesthetics and usefulness clip point blade. The only thing that I wish it had was a section of jimping on the spine of the blade. You do have inset jimping on the liner here, but I would like to see a short section up here to come up on. This is my natural grip. So I'm back on the jimping, but if I ever do want to do an extended grip for any reason, I would like to see a little bit of jimping up here. But as far as utility use, that you're going to get every bit of the utility use out of that you would ever get out of a clip point, and it is just very, very aesthetically pleasing. Ergonomics in the handle. In a full-size knife, this is actually a really decent handle design. You do get a moderate choil. It is not super deep and restrictive, and the rest of the handle is just wide open. You can see the back of the handle here is curved to accommodate the curvature of your hand. You do get that finger choil for your first finger right there, and then the rest of it is wide open and not restrictive in any way for different sizes of hands. I will say in my medium size hands, the handle does feel long, and we're talking about 5 3/8 of an inch, almost 5.5 inches of handle length. It is long. But that is not bad. You know, a knife that is a little longer is not restrictive. It just feels long in the hands, and it will accommodate much larger hand sizes. And then it's wide open, no issues in a forward grip, no issues in a reverse grip, except when I'm up here in this finger choil with my pinky, it's a little bit of a stretch for me to cap the butt in with my thumb. That's just the length of that handle. As far as a draw grip, it's very comfortable. Unlike flipper top knives, you don't have that flipper tab sticking down, intruding in the webbing between your thumb and first finger. So it is very usable in that type of grip. As far as a pinch grip, the handle to me at 6/10 of an inch is a little bit thick and blocky at the front end for a comfortable pinch grip, but I'm not going to say you can't use it that way. It's just not super comfortable that way. It could very easily be used in that type of grip. So ergonomics on the handle for such a big knife are pretty much perfect, guys. I mean, even at 6/10 of an inch thick, it is fairly narrow, so it's not like you're holding on to a baseball bat or anything and you can barely get your grip around it. It is hand-feeling and comfortable. Hand-feeling and comfortable. I can feel the pocket clip, but mostly what I feel is not the tip. What I feel is the rise in this pocket clip, but it does give you plenty of room underneath there for any pocket material. I don't foresee any issues with that. You've got nice deep carry. The only downside to this pocket clip, and it is this pocket clip no matter what Benchmade model, it is a little, you can see that, it's a little squirmy. And that is flex here. It is not that it's loose. It's actual flex through the bend here. It allows it to be a little squirmy. And while I don't feel that under grip, when I do feel it is when I'm opening and closing, because a lot of times I use the pocket clip to anchor my grip for that, especially on a bigger knife. So I do feel a little bit about that squirminess there. I think the pocket clip is a good design. It's attractive, and I don't think that it's going to be fragile or anything like that. All right, so we'll bring in a prop again here, and we'll set this up, and we're going to close out this video by me saying I'm so happy that this is a great example of a Benchmade knife. Before I get into what I love about the design, Benchmade as an American company, I want so very bad to see this company I want to see everybody have something good to say about it. And it's, I'm not hooked up with Benchmade, involved in Benchmade, but it's kind of hurtful that one of the leading American makers of premium knives has been getting blasted so bad on the internet. And I'm not going to say that it is just people on the internet, because a lot of it is deserved. I want to see Benchmade's quality in line with what they are capable of, what I have seen that they are capable of, and what their price point should dictate. Because you are looking at a $200 knife. This knife is $199 just about everywhere you shop. And at that price point, the competition out there is extremely hard. There is a lot of nearly perfectly made $200 knives out there, and that's what Benchmade needs to bring to the table. And I'm glad to see that in this example of the Crooked River. Beyond that, it is just a beautiful, attractive knife. This has got to be one of the best looking modern clip point blade profiles that I have seen. I love this blade. I love it. And I'm usually a drop point type of blade guy, but I love that clip point. I actually very much like the aesthetic appeal of this handle with the classic wood, the bolstered look, but you get this pop of orange with the trim ring and the back spacer. I actually like that. It's just a good looking knife, guys. It is. And I'm so very happy that it's well made. And if you want a large clip point folder that is basically a modern high-end rendition of a classic sort of buck 110 type of design, this is one of the best offerings on the market. I'm so very happy that Brian sent this to me so I could spend some time with it and review it. And I have to say, I am looking forward to getting a hold of one of the mini versions with the 3.4-inch blade, because I would very much like to consider an EDC size version of this knife. All right, guys. As always, I thank you for taking the time to watch one of my videos. God bless all of you, and we will talk to you again.